Madam President, we're ready to begin when you are.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the Metropolitan Water District Representatives Caucus and Special Meeting of the Board of Directors for West Basin Municipal Water District. It's April 2nd. It is now 12:30. I'm calling this meeting to order. Do we have a quorum? Please call the roll, Mr. General Manager.
Director Tommy Favai. Director Desi Alvarez.
Here.
Director Scott Houston. Director Don Deere.
Here.
President Gloria Gray.
Here. If there are other people there, could they please introduce themselves and we can start where Don Deere is located. If you can go around the room if there are others that are there.
Happy to do so. We'll begin to my right.
Desiree Quintero, Manager of Administration, Board Secretary for West Basin.
Anatol Halligan, General Manager for Long Beach Utilities. Advay with West Basin.
Eric Owens with West Basin. Mark W. Gilligan with West Basin.
Tammy Hurley High with West Basin.
Augustine Hahn, West Basin.
Caitlin Beal, West Basin.
And that concludes all of our attendees.
All right, thank you all for being here. Now we will go to item 3, public comment. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak?
Madam President, we have not received any requests for public comment, though this meeting is being held both in person and virtually. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak, please indicate so now by raising your virtual hand. Madam President, I do not see any requests.
All right, thank you very much. Item 4, discussion items. I want to welcome Adam Benson, but Mr. General Manager, would you please introduce the item?
Yes, thank you very much, President Gray. This is our Metropolitan Water District quarterly financial update as West Basin begins the process of entering into the development of our next fiscal year budget. We thought this would be a great opportunity to see exactly how Metropolitan Water District is doing and then possibly see how that might impact West Basin Municipal Water District. So with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Adam Benson, the Finance Group Manager for Metropolitan Water District.
Thank you, EJ, and thank you everyone on the board for inviting us here today to present our second quarter financial report. Hopefully you can hear me well. If not, let me know and I'll speak up. I do want to start off by just saying that we're in the process right now of closing the books on our third quarter, which ended March 31st, so just a few days ago. And we'll be presenting an updated third quarter forecast for full fiscal year 24-25 to the Finance Committee in May. The information that I'm going to present to you today is really our second quarter financial forecast, which covers actual data through December. Largely, we expect the overall story to be consistent, but as you drill down into any of the numbers in this second quarter report, just know that over the next several weeks, we're going to be, redoing the forecast, digging into them with a little more data behind them to refine and enhance our overall projections. Just for awareness, Metropolitan's rates, which were approved in the adopted budget for calendar year 25 and 26, are all contained in our approved budget book, which is available on the Metropolitan financial website. If anyone needs access to that or can't find it, please feel free to reach out to me or anyone on my team, and we'll make sure we get that information to you. But if we want to jump right into the presentation, I can have you go to the next slide. So today I'm going to present, again, the second quarter financial review, which covers our projections for fiscal year 24-25. Next slide. I'll have you go one more slide. And one more. There we go. Jump right into the data. So this slide shows cumulative water transactions, both actual and projected. The blue bars reflect actual water transactions through December. Projected water transactions are shown by the green bars covering January through April on a cash year. Importantly, the second quarter projection showed us being about 70,000 acre feet higher than the estimates we provided during the first quarter report. For the full fiscal year, water transactions are projected to be 86,000 acre feet short of our budgeted assumption. However, inclusive of the 100,000 acre feet of reverse cyclic program or RCP sales, water transactions are projected to exceed budget by about 14,000 acre feet. As you'll recall, the RCP or reverse cyclic program was approved by the board in November 2024, and it allowed member agencies to prepay for future water transactions with the delivery of those water to occur over the next 5 years at Metropolitan's discretion. The program essentially moves future water sales into the current fiscal year, which will ultimately reduce future water transaction revenues. In recognition of this unique element of this program, throughout this presentation, we've separated the transactions that are associated with RCP, and you can see in this chart that they're reflected in the light orange bar. Next slide. This slide compares budgeted and projected water transactions by type for fiscal year 24-25. Treated water transactions are shown in the dark blue bars, and they are projected to be about 24,000 acre feet below budget. Untreated water sales are shown in the dark orange, are projected to be 19,000 acre feet higher than budget. And again, we're showing RCP transactions separately in the light orange bar. You will note that that light orange is not reflected in the budget column because we did not anticipate this program during the original adopted budget, so it only shows up in the projected column. Exchange transactions, which are reflected by the green bar, are projected to be 81,000 acre feet below budget. 50,000 acre feet of that variance is the result of the IID San Diego Metropolitan Conservation Agreement. The remaining 31,000 acre feet variance is due to timing differences in the cash year versus the calendar year delivery as requested by the County Water Authority. Next slide. This chart shows historical water transactions over the last 10 years. Fiscal year 24-25 water transactions are projected to be about 1.25 million acre feet, which are shown in the blue bar. Again, we've called out the 100,000 acre feet of RCP sales shown in the light orange bar. And you can see that over the last 2 years, including the fiscal 25 year, we've seen low water transactions, some of the lowest water transactions that we've had on record. Next slide. That said, we do have record high storage projected. As of the writing of the second quarter report, we had accumulated storage of approximately 3.8 million acre feet for dry year, with an additional 750,000 acre feet set aside for emergency storage, so well positioned for drought should it occur in the near future. Next slide. This is where we get into the meat of the presentation. A lot of numbers on this slide, but I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. The table on the slide shows budget versus projections across major revenue and expenditure categories in the current fiscal year. The top section of the graph summarizes total projected revenues. The middle section shows total projected expenditures relative to budget, while the bottom section, or the last section in the table, shows deposits and withdrawals that impact our unrestricted reserves. I'll start by just doing a high-level overview of each of these sections, and I'll drill down into a few of the key categories that I think are of importance for this group. But as we showed originally on one of the earlier slides, excluding our reverse cyclic program sales, water transactions are projected to be about 86,000 acre feet less than budget. And as a result of that, water transaction revenues are expected to be about 58 million, 57.9 million less than budget. RCP sales, shown in the second line under the revenue section, are expected to generate $125.6 million. And I can confirm that that revenue was received by Metropolitan in February of 2025. Property tax revenues are held consistent with what we had forecast during the first quarter report, which are projected to be about 14 million higher than budget. Interest income is trending roughly 22 million less than budget due to a smaller investment portfolio in the first half of the year relative to what we anticipated when we approved the budget, and also due to the Federal Reserve's accelerated actions in the start of the year to lower interest rates. We're reflecting IRA Bucket 1 revenues of $90.6 million, which reflects the actual payments Metropolitan received for the current and last fiscal year related to the PVID and BARD fallowing program. So we had anticipated getting about $45 million a year. The first year's payment was delayed, and so we received 2 payments in fiscal year 24-25. The other category reflects various revenues such as power sales, lease payments, late fees, and others. And importantly, this category is shown as being $89.9 million below budget due to the inclusion of the $60 million revenue generation target that was approved in the adopted budget. That actual revenues are being reflected in the water transaction line and in the RCP line respectively. So you see that $80 million change, $89 million change in the other category. That's because we budgeted to receive those revenues in one line, but we're actually recording the transactions in other lines. But in the aggregate, when you look at total revenues, we're expected to be about 14 million above budget for fiscal 24-25. Looking at the middle section of this table, you can see that our state water contract costs are projected to be about 109 million under budget. This is primarily due to lower power costs resulting from lower energy rates and our plan to store more water and carry over at San Luis Reservoir in our preparation for future drought years. Our CRA power costs, I'm sorry, I just lost the presentation. I don't know if that happened for everybody else.
It did.
Adam, who is running it?
I think it might be Tammy. I'll give her a second to pull it back up.
And we'll have it for you in just a minute.
Okay, I'll just wait. I'm speaking about so many nuanced numbers. I don't want to go through it without folks seeing what's up there. Excellent. There we go. All right. So CRA power costs, also in the expenditure section, are projected to be 5.5 million under budget, mainly due to lower prices compared to what we had assumed when we originally developed the budget. Supply program costs are projected to be $72 million lower. 179.5 budgeted supply program includes both cash and debt funded supply programs, which includes some debt funds for AVEC program, our high desert water banking program, which ultimately gets netted out in the bottom section. In the aggregate, the cash funded supply program expenditures are about $12 million lower due to a long list of programs, including thoughtful actions taken by staff to help reduce and control costs. Demand management is trending 9.8 million below budget due to lower LRP costs resulting from lower projected yields and lower conservation expenditures. Debt service is projected to be slightly above budget due to short-term interest rates. And importantly, you can see that we have maintained $175 million of our PAYGO, which is consistent with what we showed at the first quarter projection. You may recall last year, we ultimately ended up reducing our PAYGO expenditures to preserve cash and take on some more long-term debt, but we are not projecting to do that as of the second quarter. So overall, unrestricted reserves, if you look at the bottom of the chart, are projected to increase by 169.8 million for the full fiscal year. This is in part due to the new revenue generation, due to the targeted expenditure reductions that staff at Metropolitan and the board have worked hard to secure, but also significantly due to the reverse cyclic program sales that generated an additional 125 million in revenues. Without those RCP sales, unrestricted reserves would be projected to increase only about 44 million from the prior year. And you can see that data better on the next slide. Here you can see how our unrestricted reserves for fiscal year ending 25 are projected to increase by 44 million relative to the prior fiscal year. That's represented by the orange bar. Inclusive of the RCP sales, you can see that unrestricted reserves will be at a total of 493 million. This is a meaningful and purposeful improvement from where we ended at the prior fiscal year. You can see how close in 2024 we were to our minimum reserve target. And while we have this significant improvement, Metropolitan staff at the direction of our executives are continue to be diligent in controlling costs and really being strategic and taking advantage of opportunities when they exist and where they exist to shore up our unrestricted reserves. But there are challenges that remain for us, and they're kind of highlighted in the call out box on the lower right-hand side of this. We continue to face increasing costs to maintain critical infrastructure and aging infrastructure that's essential for our operational integrity. We're experiencing financial pressure related to organizational-wide resource needs and staffing needs. There is some property tax uncertainty as a result of the recent wildfires. Staff has been in contact with the LA County auditor to get more information about the timing and magnitude of those changes. We certainly have experienced some uncertainty surrounding the status of various federal grants, though in recent weeks we've seen some more certainty come forward as we've received certain reimbursements. And we still have to set ourselves up this fiscal year for the uncertainty that exists next year as we start beginning July 1, 2025, with an additional gap due to the projected $60 million in assumed water transactions and $18 million in expense reductions. Any of these risks, if they materialize, could create a shortfall in revenues or increases in expenditures that ultimately could require the use of unrestricted reserves to bridge our gap. So it's important, in short, that we keep this in mind and that we sort of keep track and monitor and report back to the board on how we're performing. And with that, I will open it up to questions. And I also want to acknowledge Katano, who is our AGM and CFO, is here, and she can also take questions as well.
Thank you very
Hello,
much.
everyone.
Hello. Patano, did you want to say something?
Oh, no, I was just saying hello, everybody. That's all. I'll take questions along with Adam. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you for being here, Katana. Are there any questions? Please just stick out.
No.
Any questions?
President Gray, I have a couple of comments, questions. One, I want to thank MWD staff for the presentation, and very pleased to see that the budget is going to come in on the positive side, and that we are actually increasing our, or the Metropolitan is increasing its unrestricted reserves. As you know, I'm not one for having huge reserves, but the reserves can get to the point where they're also very marginal, and it's all to the good that this was achieved and that there were savings realized in the operations overall. I do have one comment with the one of the areas that makes up for a lot of the revenue, and that's the reverse cyclic sales program. And that program is generated $125 million, which is a significant amount of the net revenue generated by Metropolitan Water District. But it does raise a couple of issues. I know that staff may not have the answers right now as to what were the agencies that purchased the water. My understanding is most of the water purchased was treated water. But there are affordability issues that come up, and I don't know if their staff has any comments. Agencies that can pre-purchase water, which is what this program really does, affords them the benefit of taking that water in subsequent years when that water will be more expensive, versus agencies that do not have the financial wherewithal to go ahead and pre-purchase water and will be paying at the higher rate. And the future rates will reflect the fact that those sales were banked at an earlier time, and therefore that will be paid for by everyone to the benefit of those wealthier agencies. So there's an affordability factor that I don't think has been discussed very much, and I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if staff has any comments on that.
Yeah, Director
Thank you,
Alvarez, I
Director.
appreciate the question. I appreciate the question and comment. I did research since our last discussion. There are 10 agencies that participated in the RCP program. I can list them quickly: Foothill, Burbank, Las Virgenes, Pasadena, Upper San Gabriel, Callejas, Western, Eastern, LA, and the Municipal Water District of Orange County. The purchases range from roughly 1,500 acre feet up to 26,000 acre feet. So there's sort of a whole swath in there. The original contemplation of this program back in 24 was larger, and really through work between finance, our water resources folks, the board, and our executive team, we arrived at what we thought was a manageable program of 100,000 acre feet over the biennial budget period. There were some agencies that thought it should be higher, but we were really trying to come up with a balance, right? The right number that really helps protect Metropolitan's unrestricted reserves, preserves and generates some cash, but also acknowledge the risk and the challenges that this program could create, as you've pointed out to us. So we felt like this was a reasonable place and a reasonable way for us to go to help achieve some of the revenue generation targets that we set out through the original adoption of the board, which, as you know, included 122 million, excuse me, 120 million over the 2 years in new revenues, plus an additional 36 million in expenditure reductions. This is not the only action that we've taken, and staff has really created a pretty robust internal working team. Shane's been part of it, myself, our Colorado resources folks, and really coming up with ways to generate additional revenues. This has been a significant component of that, but there's been a number of other actions and more actions that will be coming before the board as we continue to generate additional revenues to meet the overall targets. So appreciate that, but your point is well taken.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Adam, and thank you, Director Alvarez. Any other questions?
No.
Okay. Catano, did you have any comments?
Not on this particular. I just wanted everybody to know that the board did ask, specifically actually Director Alvarez, that we bring some key data for the drivers for the next budget to the board. And so we're going to be discussing that along with a lot of other financial matters in May. So we're happy to come back after if you want further discussions on those key items. It's really always good to be able for the agencies to follow what we're doing. So that's one thing we're going to be doing in the very near future.
All right, thank you very much. With no other questions or comments, we'll go to, and Adam, thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you all for being here to do that. We'll go to the next item. I think it's direct. Thank you so much. I think it's director comments, but are there any announcements from anyone in the room?
Madam President, I do not see any.
Okay, and then director's comments. Director Deere, any comments and future agenda items?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Director Alvarez?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
I think Director Favav is there. Are you there also?
He is not.
Okay, any other director in the room? Or AJ?
No, there are not.
Okay.
That concludes all of the
all right.
directors.
All right. Okay, AJ, any comments?
No, I want to say thank you to Metropolitan Water District staff for being with us today and providing the update.
Thank you,
Right,
Jay.
and thank you, everyone, for being here and for Metropolitan doing the presentation and update today. All right, with that, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you again for being here. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.